Hey guys, welcome back to Sparkman Homestead. My name is Krista, and I am just in the process right now of editing a video that I shot for you guys yesterday. And I realized that the first part of the video is actually a video that I want to do by itself. The reason is because I am showing you guys how I make my weekly kombucha and my water kefir. I've had a couple messages and questions or comments about how I make my kombucha and water kefir. So I kind of just wanted to take that video and kind of isolate it into its own video. So it's going to kind of look, the beginning is going to look a little mishmash because I am kind of filming other stuff, but I just wanted to give it its own video just so that I can really just focus in on showing you guys the process and not having to worry about putting other stuff in the video. So you guys can find it without having to weed through other stuff. So here it is. Enjoy. I realized before I actually get started doing anything today, I need to get my kombucha and my water kefir done. Because we were away for a couple of days, this has maybe fermented a couple days too long. So I want to quickly get this made. What I'm doing right now is I just have a little piece of ginger. It is frozen from my fridge, and I am just going to peel it a bit. I have 5 bottles out here. Sometimes I can get 6. It all depends on how much space I have in my SCOBY, or how much space my SCOBY has left. So what I'm going to do is just empty some of the kombucha into this container. Bring you guys a little bit closer so that you can see better. So it looks like a science experiment. It looks nasty, but super good. Okay, so let me just get this moved out of the way for a minute. Now what I'm going to do is with that garlic, I'm just going to cut off some pieces of it, just like that. Not very big pieces, just kind of little pieces. And I am going to put them in each jar. About 3 is good in each jar. You do not want the the ginger to be too overpowering. You just kind of want it to give it a little bit of a taste. And I'm not too picky. If there is a little bit of skin on it, it's fine. I'm just going to take some lemon juice. This is just the lemon juice that I'm using. Get a funnel. And I'm probably just going to put in about a tablespoon, maybe 2 tablespoons. Just like that much. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take our kombucha that we just strained, or not strained, but just poured out of there. So I need to reserve 2 cups of this batch for making the next batch. So I am going to put 2 cups into here. And I just put it in here with my SCOBYs. So I will finish topping these up. Might be a little too full. Oh no! Going to snap them closed, and because I'm a little messy, I like to give them kind of a wipe down and just make sure that there's no sticky stuff on the jars. What I have in this pot is some cooled down, essentially it's iced tea. What I did is I took 10 tea bags, so I boiled 14 cups of water. Because I reserved 2 cups of my old kombucha batch, instead of using 16 cups of water, I used 14. So I boiled 14 cups of water. Once it came to a full rolling boil, I took it off the heat and put 10 black tea bags in here. I let the black tea bags steep for about 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, I removed the black tea bags and added 1 cup of organic cane sugar. I stirred it in and I let this cool. It has to be below 82 degrees. If you have it above 82 degrees, you set a risk of burning your kombucha, your scobies, which will actually kill them. So you don't want to burn them. So this is now cooled. I think it's at like 75. So I am going to add this tea mixture, essentially sweet tea. I'm going to add it to this gallon jar that has my scobies and that 2 cup of reserved kombucha. And I'm going to clean up my mess now because I just spilt it everywhere. After I add that in, I am just going to take a tea towel, cover it up. I like to kind of cover the whole jar up so it doesn't really get exposed to light. I put an elastic band on top just to keep like any gnats or anything from getting in. And then I'm gonna leave this sit for 7 days now. And then after 7 days, I just repeat the same process. I do this once a week and I make my 5 bottles of kombucha. Now, because we are starting to get into the cold weather, like my house is usually sitting at 67, that's what I keep my thermostat at. I actually am probably going to end up putting one of those seed starting heat mats. I'm probably going to end up putting this by it. And the reason is because you do not want your scobies, again, like burning it, it goes the other way. If your scobies get too cold, that can actually kill them also, and it can cause mold to grow. So I kind of keep an eye on it and make sure. I do have it sitting kind of near the back of my fridge because the fridge, I'm hoping it lets off some type of heat. I do not have room. The way that my cabinets are built, I don't have room on top of my fridge to put this. Ideally, again, that's another hot spot. That's perfect for that. But I have found that in the winter months, because I had this going last winter also, that those little heating mats work perfect to kind of keep this at a good temperature so that it doesn't get too cold. So I am going to leave these ones that we just bottled up, I'm going to leave them on the counter for about 2 days. After 2 days, so it's doing its second ferment right now. After 2 days, I'm going to probably put them in the fridge. And the reason is because if I don't put them in the fridge, these things are going to get so fermented that they will literally explode. I have opened up a kombucha before and it has hit the ceiling. It went all over my cabinets. It just gets very, very explosive. So after 2 days, I put them in my fridge. I opened this one up a while ago. This one was one that I made last week, and this is what it looks like. Now, with the ginger and lemon juice, this is not a sweet kombucha. This is more, I kind of feel like it tastes like a lemony ginger ale almost. It's not going to be your sweet, fruity kombucha. I like it because we are in the winter months, and I like to have something that tastes almost more like medicinal, I guess. It tastes medicinal. I think it tastes good, and the ginger is super, super good for my tummy, so I love having this combination. But you can, in the summer when it is like berry season, I put fresh strawberries in these. I'll put raspberries, blueberries, like depending on what season we're in, I will add them to it. But yeah, this is my favorite drink, and I try to drink at least one a day. So this one right here, this is what I call my SCOBY hotel, motel, holiday inn, whatever you want to call it. This is all of my extra SCOBYs. So when you make kombucha, it grows a new SCOBY pretty much every time. I think I have 3 in that jar. So I always like to make sure when I have leftover tea, I just put some fresh tea in my SCOBY motel, and then that way it kind of gives them something to feed off of. This is perfect to always have your extra scobies kind of in another gallon jar, because if that ever, like something ever happens to that, like if I accidentally burn it, if it goes moldy, if it goes bad, I have extra scobies here. And not only that, but it is good to kind of keep fresh scobies in your actual main kombucha mix. So I'm just gonna pour off a little bit of this because this is like pure vinegar in here. It's because it's been fermenting for so long and it has so many scobies in it. I like to just pour off a little bit of it. And then I just top it off with this stuff. That is my kombucha routine that I do once a week. Super easy. It is definitely, when I first started doing it, I was really intimidated by it because it's just a new thing. It's a new habit that you kind of got to get into. But once you get into the routine of doing this once a week, it's almost like you just kind of go on auto drive and you just do it. So I'm going to put this back in the, I keep this in the closet because the closet is a dark area and it is a little bit warmer in there. So I keep this in the closet just to keep it kind of out of the way. All right, next on my list to make is water kefir. Now, Stephen does not like kombucha. He says it has almost too strong of a fermented taste, like almost too vinegary, he says, which could be because I usually let mine ferment longer because I like it more tart, more fermented tasting. So what I make him is a water kefir. It is a fermented drink. It has almost the same benefits as a kombucha, except it is a sweeter tasting. So this is his favorite drink. And again, he drinks this quite a lot. He tries to have one every night with his supper. So what I have here is I have my Kefir Grains that are in some water. And I will show you guys how I make it because I have to make a fresh batch. So all I do is I take a plastic strainer. I have read that you do not want to use metal when making kefir because it does something to the grains when you strain it. So I just have this plastic Tupperware one and this is what I use. I've always used it. I don't know if using metal will kill your grains. I have never done it, so I don't have that information. I just use plastic. So all I do is I take this and I'm just going to strain it. And this is a half-gallon size jar. I don't rinse it out after because I like to have some of the grains kind of in there still. Giving it a little shake. Okay, so we have our empty half-gallon jar. I have a quart of warm water. It is just filtered water, and I would strongly recommend, again, I've not used tap water, but I would strongly recommend using some filtered water that has a very good filtration system because you do not want any of that stuff that's in the tap water in it. So to every quart of water, you are going to add 1/4 cup of sugar. I'm just going to add 1/4 cup of sugar in here. And that is all that fills it. So I know that I need to add some more water in here. So I have another quart of water. Now I'm not going to fill this all the way full, and you'll see why when I get close to being done. I'm just going to put it to about there. Now because I didn't add quite the full quart, I'm still going to add 1/4 of sugar, and you'll see why again in a minute. We're just going to give this a stir. Now, you want to get the sugar as dissolved as possible. You kind of see how it's all sitting there on the bottom. You want to make sure that it is almost all dissolved. So I'm just going to kind of put this aside with my extra water that I have here. And what I'm going to do is I am going to put, this is one of Stephen's favorite blends. It's just a pineapple juice, a 100% real pineapple juice. And I am just going to put approximately 1/4 of a cup into these jars. I just opened this jar, so I'm going to put the rest in here because I don't know if you've seen it on my other videos. I do not like storing stuff in my fridge in the jar because it gets that like weird metal taste to it. So I like to be we just strained off. So we are going to add this to our jars. And we're going to seal them up. So same thing with my kombucha. I am messy, so I like to just kind of rinse it off. Just store them over here on the counter. I have this much left. It is not going to be enough to really fill another bottle. It might be enough to do a little bit. So what I have been doing, Kefir Grains, they look like this, and they grow, every time you put them in, they grow more Kefir Grains. So you can always upsize this container, but mine haven't grown in a while. I think it's because of the cold weather in the house. So what I like to do with my leftover water that I have in here, I just add it back to here. It's got a whole bunch of little tiny grains. I don't think you can see it, but there's a whole bunch of little tiny grains in there. And I like just to add that back in here because I'm trying to grow more, because Steven definitely drinks more than 3 of these a week. And so we're gonna add the grains back into this mixture. That sugar is pretty much dissolved. Just gonna add the grains back in. And just give it a little stir. And what I do is I just take a clean napkin, and again, same thing, just put the napkin on top, and then I seal it with that, and then this stays on the counter. One neat thing about kefir is that it actually doesn't take as long to ferment as kombucha does. Kombucha takes about 7 days to ferment to get that nice taste. Where kefir, it only takes, depending on the temperature in your house, it can almost ferment in 24 hours. So I can be making, if I keep that really, really warm, I can almost be making 3 bottles every 2 days. But my kefir, I usually, because again, my kitchen is kind of cold, it usually takes about 3 days to ferment. I give it a little taste and make sure that it has that nice fermented taste to it and it doesn't taste like sugar water. Another way you can tell if it is really good and fermented is you will have little bubbles on the top of your kefir. But again, because my kitchen's so cold, it doesn't really do that anymore. So I usually, out of this batch, I can usually make him 3 bottles, and I make them every 3 days. So it is a little bit more high maintenance than the kombucha, where that's only a once a week thing, and this is kind of twice, maybe sometimes 3 times a week. But he likes it, and it's super good for his gut, so I keep making it for him. So these are just gonna chill out on the counter for a couple of days, and then we can enjoy them. I hope you guys enjoyed that video on how I make my water kefir and my kombucha. This is just a process that I have been doing for the last couple of years. I do not know if it is the recommended way to do it or necessarily even the right way to do it. This is just how I have been doing it for the last couple of years. It produces a very healthy drink. It's high fermentation. It's got a lot of bubbles to it. And I definitely notice a difference that it does help my tummy. Again, I don't know if this is how you're supposed to do it. It's just me showing you guys how I do it and what has worked for me. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I will see you guys on the next video, and have a great day or night whenever you're watching this. Bye guys.